Investing is not about making money. My name is Drew Cohen, and today I want to talk to you about what is the difference between an investment and what is not investing. And this is really important to grasp because if you're not sure whether or not you're investing and you don't even know really what investing is, you're much more likely to lose money. And now there's no judgment here because I say this as someone that worked at Goldman Sachs, which is one of the world's premier investment banks, as well as Capital Group, which manages trillions of dollars. And in all of the people that I've met in finance, even they very commonly did not have a good definition of what investing is. And so you can imagine if you're gambling, you're playing slots, you're playing the lotto, you could still make money. You can make a lot of money. But are you investing? Most people would say no. But of course, you could still make money. And so right away, we are suspicious of the idea that investing is just about making money. There's certain activities you can partake in that can end up making you money, but they're kind of foolish, right? They don't seem like a very good idea. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this and really flesh out an understanding of what investing is, because it could take on a bunch of different activities in a bunch of different areas. Now, let us go to Aesop's Fable. This is where one of the world's greatest investors, Warren Buffett, worth well over $100 billion, would be worth even more if he didn't donate so much to charity. This is how he explains investing. And it goes like this. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Okay, we've heard this before. What does it mean though? So there's this idea that when something's in your hand, you know you have it. There's certainty. And so the parallel between investing is this is the money you currently have. This is your capital investment that you could potentially make. Now, what are the two birds in the bushes? This is potential. This is not only potentially something that's there, but it's also potentially a gain. Because if you're trading one bird for two birds, that's more birds. And so that's the idea. But the fable says they're in the bush because implicit in that is this idea that you're not exactly sure maybe whether or not they're there, but also maybe if you go and try to get them, they disappear. And so what would you rather have? Potentially two or only one? That is the question of investing because you have money currently. And the question is whether or not you can exchange through an investment this money you currently have to potentially get more money later. And so if I were to give you a good definition of investing, I would say investing is the process of figuring out the probability of potential payoffs. So process, possibility, payoffs. Process, possibilities, payoffs. All three of those aspects are really important because you can make money without any process. And if there's no process, then it's not reproducible. And if it's not reproducible, then you're going to eventually make a mistake. And it is much easier to lose money than it is to make it back. And so that is why having a process that makes sense and that works is so important. Now, the probability aspect of this is whenever you invest in something, there's all sorts of potential things that can happen. We don't really know all of the different outcomes, but we want to get an idea of them. And so maybe you're investing in a very early stage company and you have different ideas of how successful they could be. At the one end, maybe they're only moderately successful. At the other end, maybe they're the next Google and are wildly successful. All of these are different possibilities. Now, generally speaking, when you're talking about an earlier stage company, there's a lot more possibilities of what could happen. Whereas if you're thinking of a more mature company, the possibility field narrows. Now, we're going to talk more about that in subsequent videos. The third aspect of this is the payoff, which is if I'm right, how much money do I get? So this is really important that when you are investing, there is a process. You are thinking of all the different possibilities, including the possibilities where you lose money. and what the payoffs are. Now, there's this idea in investing that is called expected return. And what expected return essentially is you multiply these probabilities of making money by the amount of money you would actually make. And so we can do it for Aesop's Fable. So you have one bird currently, okay, and there's two birds in the bush. Now, two is your potential gain. And let's say the probability of getting those two birds in the bush was 50%. Then what we would do is we'd multiply 2 times 50% to get us 1. And that would be an expected value of 1. So that means that at that point, we probably wouldn't want to invest because we already have one bird. And if there's only a 50% chance of getting the two birds, then our expected value is that we only get one bird. But if there's a probability we lose, then that means we get nothing. The odds really aren't in our favor in this instance. However, if there was a 60% chance that we would get these two birds, then we would multiply 60% by 2, and we would get 1.2. And 1.2 is bigger than 1. That means that the expected value is positive. And so maybe if we only were able to do this bet once, it wouldn't work out. But if we could do it 1,000 times, then we're going to end up with a lot more birds. And that idea right there, that's the idea of portfolio diversification. Now, we're going to talk more about that later on. What I really just want you to get from this video is what investing is and what it is not. Just because you make money, it doesn't mean you were investing. Just because you lose money too, it also doesn't mean you weren't investing. Because again, investing is a process of figuring out the probabilities of payoffs. Now, you could be a bad investor and still be investing, and you can make a lot of money and not be investing. But the point is, we need to build your process. And that is what we are going to start getting into the next videos.